Om Namah Shivaya. Welcome to Dots of Destiny, friends. Today I am talking about the Sun transit in Pisces and conjunction with Rahu, and also the lunar eclipse that is happening in Virgo. See, first Sun will move into Pisces by 13th or 14th of this month, and then Sun will slowly move towards Rahu. Now, the exact conjunction of Sun and Rahu is not experienced exactly in this month. It will be 3rd and 4th of April next month. But as the Sun is moving towards Rahu is which inflates anything that comes in contact with it. Sun, as you know, the natural soul. It creates an illusion for the soul. Rahu's purpose is that. And also it is the natural Atma Karaka. The Sun in Pisces is already a dreamy sun, because the Sun in the watery signs is not as comfortable. And also in the 12th house of Kalpurush Kundali, it is already in a little bit of state of that kind of a dreaminess. Now Rahu puts a Maya on this, and Sun is also your ambition, your ego, your what the soul wants, your father, all these things. Sun is very important, the luck factor also, because it is the ruler of the 5th house, Leo. So this Sun, whenever it is very strong in a horoscope, that's why we say Sun, Moon, Lagna very important for a horoscope. The horoscope can and is willing to go forward and move, also encountering obstacles or whatever. The Sun, the ambition, the focus of the Sun, the drive of the Sun, the respect it deserves, it continues in its path. But when Rahu comes in front of the Sun, Rahu is a total enemy of the Sun. And that's why the smooth run of the Sun is obstructed. But Rahu is not like Saturn. Sun has already encountered Saturn. That's a principalistic ideological difference. Rahu creates a Maya, and that Maya inflates the ego. And since on 24th of March, we have a lunar eclipse in Virgo, some emotional turbulence can be created by Ketu, as the lunar eclipse is happening with Ketu being eclipsing the moon. So here what happens is that you may encounter something about the Virgo area of your horoscope, and you may jump to Rahu for taking decisions, and the Sun is already there. The ego can get unnecessarily inflated. You can get unnecessarily misguided. You can fall into a trap, and your name can get maligned. Some good things can also happen with Sun Rahu. Sudden fame also comes with Sun and Rahu. But understand that if it is not totally, a particular case of your horoscope that you have a Sun Rahu in the horoscope, then also you have to be careful about it. You can become too domineering, egoistic in your ideals and thinking pattern and your life forward. So don't go into that trap. Rahu will always do that with the Sun. And here the moon can feel very irritated with Ketu eclipse. So calm down during those few days, because the lunar eclipse impact is usually lasts 15 days after the eclipse, so maximum 1 month. Solar eclipse, like, it takes a lot of time, 6 days for the process that is to be completed. So for lunar eclipse to settle down, maximum 15-20 days if you give, you will understand it was unnecessary for the mind. It's an illusion. It's because moon is such a planet, it gets irritated. So don't go into that. Understand that it is a dance of the Rahu Ketu axis. Now let's see what is there for all the 12 ascendants. Let us start with Pisces. Pisces is having the lunar eclipse and the solar and Rahu Sun conjunction just on the Lagna, and the lunar eclipse is in the 7th house of partnership. Now see, there can be situations that it is obviously whenever the Rahu Ketu axis has landed into your Lagna and 7th house, it is here to bring quite a lot of changes in your life, which not immediately, if you don't understand, it will follow with time. Now this is the first eclipse of the year. Something regarding your relationships, business partnerships, or anything can happen regarding the 7th house matter. And that because the lunar eclipse suddenly gives a result, it's a Ketu eclipse and it will give sudden results. So stay with the result, don't get too irritated with it, because see, it's very easy for the sun on the Lagna to give a very proudful personality, because the Rahu will do that to the sun. Don't be too much egoistic, don't be too much rude, because also it is your 6th lord on the Lagna, the sun. Though sun is definitely a friend of Jupiter, but sun Rahu flares up lot of energy in the horoscope, and especially if it's on the Lagna. If you do something like that, suppose your 6th lord is sun, you can get a bad name also in the process. So be aware of it, because Rahu creates the situation and you being the Lagna can fall into that. So let that not happen. Usually the eclipses trigger events, and those events settle down if you can take it with time and let it rest in time's way. Because see, understand that in this while this conjunction is happening on your Lagna, and also you can get some fame also, because Rahu Sun is also some sudden fame can also happen. Now if this is happening, be whatever way, whether it is happening in a negative way or in a positive way, understand that it's a illusion kind of a thing happening. Rahu is that planet, and your 12th house is housing Mars, Venus and Saturn. Till the 31st of March this conjunction will go. So don't because 12th house is a house of expenditures and all, don't trust people easily, don't give in to demands of people. 12th house is expenses also. Boosting your ego can lead to some expenses, think about that also. So the March month is a little complicated month. Maybe April is also like that, but let's solve March first. Think cautiously, keep care of health, because 6th lord on the Lagna can give certain health issues also. So be aware of your 7th house position when the lunar eclipse occurs. Don't react as the sun and Rahu is on the Lagna. It is you who is getting affected, the ascendant, and beware of expenses. That is the theme of this March month. Okay, next comes Aquarius. For Aquarius, the Rahu Ketu axis in the 2nd and the 8th house. So in the 2nd house, you'll have the Sun Rahu conjunction happening from 14th of March to 14th of April. It will be there in your 2nd house, and the lunar eclipse on 24th of March will happen in your 8th house. 8th house is all about transformation. So your 6th lord moon is going into the 8th house and giving a lunar eclipse with Ketu. Sudden transformations, sudden realizations, wealth related realizations will happen. Now because 2nd and 8th axis is yours wealth, other people's wealth, your inherited wealth, all these things. Now whether you accept the fact or not, that's a different thing, because Sun Rahu will sometimes give a ego boost for your 2nd house, that maybe I have more than what I want. Don't take whatever idea comes at this point of time, because understand 8th house is transformative house. When moon has reached the 8th house, which is not at all a good position for the moon, in conjunction with Ketu, it will give an inside turmoil, and which will be a trigger point of some kind of decisions that can happen mentally. Because see, Jupiter is also your 2nd and 11th lord, where your 2nd lord in your 2nd house Rahu Sun is making the conjunction. Jupiter is in Bharani. So total transformation related things are conjuring up. Go with the flow. Don't, your wealth should not go out of your hand for egoistic purposes or for any other purpose. Be cautious with wealth. Very, very important, because next there will be a solar eclipse. In the month of April, solar eclipse will happen in your second house. So some wealth related matters are being pointed out to you by both the eclipses, because second, eighth axis is primarily that. Obviously, eighth house is also sudden events happening which are not under our control. That is there. So if sudden events regarding the eclipse happens, which mentally gives you some kind of emotional turbulence or irritation, stay with that. Don't jump into conclusions, because whenever something happens with Ketu, that repercussion goes to Rahu. That should not happen, because Rahu is in a sensitive position in the second house with Sun. So, boosting your ego in some malefic way. Understand that. Even your partner can also be in the process, because Sun is your seventh lord. Now, in your Lagna, Saturn is with Mars and Venus. As Venus will reach your Lagna, and it will be there till 31st of March, I think from 6th or 7th of April, it is a good time, not a bad time. You can feel that, because Venus is yoga karak, so it's a good time. Only thing is that regarding money matters, you have to be careful. Think on your savings. Don't unnecessarily spend for boosting your ego, because Rahu will create all kind of maya with the Sun. Be aware of that. Rest, it is a cautious month to follow. Whenever eclipse is the first eclipse of the season, so of this year, so whenever eclipses occur, we should stay with the energy, not jump into conclusions. Let the energy settle down. You will understand what is not required. So then comes Capricorn. Here the eclipse and the Rahu Sun conjunction in Pisces in the third house, and the lunar eclipse is happening in your ninth house. Third and ninth axis is very important. Now here, ninth house is about some advice also from seniors, from teachers, spiritual things, learning, travel, all these things. Sudden decisions regarding that due to the Ketu moon, lunar eclipse in the ninth house can lead to take some decisions regarding the third house, because third house is a decision making house. So be cautious with the decisions. Don't because on 24th March the sensitive lunar eclipse will occur, and already Sun and Rahu is making conjunction. Already there is quite a sensitive conjunction, in the sense the soul is lost in Maya when Sun is with Rahu. Some some brave acts or some courageous acts, some efforts can be there, because both are malefics in Upachya houses, but still, am I putting the right effort in the right direction? That question is very important when Sun Rahu is there, because the soul can feel directionless. Sun is the soul, and also Sun is your eighth lord. So eighth lord going eighth from itself. So understand, this is exactly not a sensitive situation. You can go a little, up in your head what to do about the situation. You can get some advice which is not actually a good advice. It can trigger something in your mind, because moon is the mind, and when Ketu moon causes a eclipse, and then the moon starts waning and come to up to Pisces, because it's a waning moon after full moon of ninth house, you have to keep your decisions very clear. And at this point of time, better not to take any decision. That will be the best way out, because the eighth lord can, when the eighth lord is Sun, it is creating a conjunction in the third house. You want to take decision, you want to jump into activities, don't do that. Let the energy settle down, because after this lunar eclipse will be again a solar eclipse in the sign of Pisces. That will be on 8th and 9th of April. Next month. So March, April is not exactly a bad month, because see, your Lagna Lord is making a conjunction with Venus and Mars in the second house. It is also building up your finances. It's a good yoga in the second house. Obviously, Mars Saturn is Shani Mangal. I've made the video, but still, Venus, as it will be in the sign of Aquarius in your second house, it's not a bad yoga as such. You can build up on your money, on your finances, on your family members. Some roughshod things can happen, some verbal conflicts, this that can happen. But whatever advice you want to take at this point of time, because Ketu will suddenly bring in that advice from the ninth house regarding higher studies, long distance journeys, regarding religious things, regarding so many things it can happen. And what you're falling on when the Ketu eclipse happens is Rahu Sun over there in the third house. So don't the whole point is that don't make it more complicated. Already Saturn Mars is there. Now this Rahu Sun conjunction is going to happen. Don't make the month more complicated by jumping into actions. It is a time, whenever the eclipses are there, it's a time to settle back, think for some 15-20 days, so that the energy settle, and then you understand, get a clearer picture, because otherwise the mind can jump into conclusions. That's the thing. Then comes after Capricorn is Sagittarius. Sagittarius, your 4th and 10th axis is getting affected. The Sun Rahu conjunction is in the 4th house, and the Ketu Moon conjunction due to the forming an eclipse on 24th of March is in your 10th house. Now both are into a little unsteady grounds, because see here, you may face certain changes in your official area, because Ketu in the 10th gives some kind of indications for some kind of changes. And actually wherever Ketu is transiting, something you have to leave about that area, in whatever forms it is, big, small, whatever. So here, when the moon comes, makes a lunar eclipse with Ketu on the 24th of March, you can get immediately triggered in your professional area. And hence, the effect comes on Rahu, because it always starts from Ketu and comes to Rahu. Because the moon will come in conjunction with Ketu first, then it will wane and come up to Rahu. And it will be a solar eclipse on the new moon day in Pisces. So whatever happens in your professional area, whatever it is, your not desired thing, maybe you desire something, you got that, but still a little more you want to go, you want to change something, it's not happening. Whatever the scenario is, stay put with it. Because if your ego gets inflated in the process, if your mental thing gets problematic, here Sun is your good planet, your 9th house planet, Sun. But understand, Sun is in Pisces and Jupiter is in Bharani, and Sun is totally Dikshunya in the 4th house, no strength at all. And here it is in conjunction with Rahu. Whatever decision you have to take in your 4th area, you can feel heavy in that area. You can feel badly bruised in your heart. You can feel a lot of turbulence at your home due to ego related matters. Whatever it is just for the time being. It's not a good time to take any decisions. Or if you want to buy something, you want to sell something, some real estate thing, because Rahu will always push these things in the matters, to go towards those matters. Ketu, wherever it is transiting, you have to leave something over there. Rahu, wherever it is transiting, you have to hold on to something. Your mind will want that. So this is not the time. Sun is not in its best dignity. Let this time pass. The whole transit of Sun, your 9th lord, your Bhagya lord in the 4th house, it is not a good time. Sun in Pisces is quite weak with Dikshunya Sun in your horoscope, and with conjunction Rahu, all kind of thoughts will come, all kind of, you can feel very directionless also, and you want to take some actions because your 3rd house is flooded with planets. Saturn is there, Mars is there, Venus. You can have problem with your siblings also. So this is not the right time to jump into conclusions. Let the sun come out from Rahu. Exact conjunction of Sun Rahu is on 4th or 3rd of April, 3rd, 4th April. Let the sun come to its exaltation. It will be a better at that time, better process. So Let the process happen as the lunar eclipse happens on 24, because lunar eclipse triggers very sudden events, because it is driven by Ketu here. It is a Ketu lunar eclipse. So sudden events can occur. You can feel emotionally vulnerable. You can feel emotionally rejected, dejected. All these things can happen. If it's good, settle with it. Then also settle with it. Because good and bad, whatever it is, when you're in the Rahu Ketu axis, very difficult to gauge the situation. That's why Rahu and Ketu, when conjunction with illuminaries, is not a good position even in the natal horoscope. So go with the situation, stay calm, don't inflate your ego, don't show nasty temper at home, don't show your bad ego, and don't feel emotionally drained at this point of time. Let the energy settle down. Let this transit of Sun Rahu be over. From 15th of April, you can feel a better, because your ninth lord will be in the 5th. So wait till that time. March month, don't take fast decisions. Don't do that. Not required. Scorpio, your Rahu Ketu axis is the 5th and the 11th axis, and Sun and Rahu making a conjunction in the 5th house, and Ketu and Moon will make a lunar eclipse on 24th of March in the 11th house. Now, here, 2-3 things is that Sun and Rahu wants name fame in the 5th house. Maybe you get that. Maybe, I'm telling, if at all you get it. Because 5th house is all about name, fame, all these things. It's your Purva Punyam. Now, whatever is driven by Rahu, understand, it gives sudden fame with Sun, it does. But there is always a scary factor with Rahu. Those are not, settled things. Rahu is a very unsettled energy, chaotic. It is smoky. And with the Sun in its, Sun is in Pisces. So it is not exactly in the best of, because watery 12th house Pisces, dreamy Sun. So you can dream very big. And this is also an investment house. The 11th house is incoming gains. If there's an up down in the gains, some kind of networking circle activity, some kind of gain, some kind of investment related things, 11th house, if it gets triggered by Ketu Moon eclipse forming on 24th of March, you have to understand it is a destined point that is happening, because eclipses are always part of the destiny. Everything is, this is mainly because it is always starts from Ketu will bring the things, trigger the things, and whatever we lack in Ketu, we want to go towards Rahu, because Ketu is a give up energy and Rahu is a receptive, more we want to go towards that. So if something happens in the 11th house related matters, whether it's your gains, whether it's your social networking circle, whether it's your, some kind of name, fame, whatever you get, stay with it calm. And calmness is what you want in this month to happen, because there's a huge conjunction of your Lagna Lord and Saturn in the 4th house. Remember that. And Venus is also there. Good time to buy property, sell it, whatever you want to do, shift places, whatever. But your ego must not inflate. Sun Rahu, because Scorpio has that kind of personality. They're very intense people. So as Rahu is also afflicting your Lagna, Saturn is also afflicting your Lagna. So be calm. Don't take matters of the 11th house too seriously. If some loss is there, understand it was to happen. It is a destined karmic point with Ketu. Take it in your stride, work towards it. Don't, or if there's a name fame happening, you got suddenly, which you didn't know that you're supposed to get. Whatever it is, the mind should be at rest. Resort to a peaceful state of mind, because Rahu Sun will give some kind of because Sun is your 10th lord also with Rahu, sudden fame can also happen. Whatever it is, stay put. Don't be too inflated with it. Don't get too shrinked with it. Nothing is forever written on the stone. Things will change as the lunar eclipse is happening on 24th March. From there, some emotional turbulence is seen, though 11th house axis, 11th house is not a very, it's okay. It's okay, but some monetary up down, don't go for investment. If suppose you lost something, you want to make a fresh investment immediately, don't do that, because fifth house is also, trying the luck for investment. So Rahu is there pushing you towards something. Don't do that immediately. Please wait for the time to be better. Very, very important. This March month is not exactly a bad month, but whenever the first eclipse of the year happens, you have to the axis of wherever Rahu Ketu is getting activated too fast. And here Sun is there, obviously involved in the axis, Moon is there. And so wait for the things to settle down. Let the Sun go into your 6th house of exaltation. The things will be much clearer, and then you can take some decisions. So March month is not exactly the time for taking big decisions, big investment. If you feel good, stay with it. If you don't feel good, then also stay with it. So that's it. Then Libra. For Libra, it is happening in the 6th and 12th house. So here Rahu and Sun conjunction is happening in the 6th house of your horoscope, and the lunar eclipse for this month on 24th March is happening in the 12th house. So Ketu Moon conjunction on 24th of March in the 12th house can indicate some kind of loss, emotional loss. Now the loss does not direct to be a very big loss. Maybe you thought of something which is not happening in the way you wanted. Maybe because Rahu is in the 6th, you suppose you're looking for a daily job or something related to 6th house, because your concentration now is on the 6th house. And such things happen when Rahu Sun, it is giving you an ego boost, or there are other your not an enemies, compatriot people around you who is asking for competition. So whenever you can feel rejected, you can feel secluded, because Ketu with the Moon in the 12th house, 8th house, these, Moon is very difficult for the Moon to endure such situations with Ketu. Ketu is a very irritation oriented planet, because it's Moksha Karaka. It wants to leave everything. It tells you to leave. Whenever Ketu is traveling a house, it ensures that you leave something about that house that is indicated by Ketu. Now, whether you leave it easily or it is taken out from you by nature's own way, that's a different thing. But Ketu will want you to give up something. And these eclipses are those trigger points. The first eclipse that is happening in the 12th house on 24th March, Moon Ketu, it will be that kind of an eclipse. Now your 11th Lord, Sun, is in conjunction with Rahu in the 6th house. So maybe your gains are in some way a little haywire, or maybe you have to in the job you are facing some, job, because Sun is in the Artha house, Rahu is also there. In your name, fame, or in your gains, you are facing some obstruction, some competition in the 6th house. Don't start, because the Rahu will create some problem for the Sun. Don't take it personally too much, because the 12th house issues that will be happening in your mind in seclusion will trigger the events of the 6th house. And Rahu is waiting to, melling the Sun. Sun is total enemy for Rahu. So this conjunction in the 6th house, the Sun and Rahu also look after your health, very important. Because 6th house, when you have to malefics, it can happen that some health, reconsideration about your health, or some checkups or something is required. That can also happen. So these things, or if you have to shift your, job area or service area, or regular life things, or loans, you are feeling maybe too optimistic to take a loan, something like that. about, or you are having a lawsuit or something is going on, anything about the sixth house, don't immediately get bruised ego. That is what I wanted to say, because sun and Rahu is that kind of a combination. It can give sudden fame also, it can give defamation also, and bruised ego also, because the sun in Pisces is not very strong sun that we are talking about, and it is under eclipse of Rahu Ketu axis. So because this lunar eclipse on 24th March happening on your 12th will trigger some sensitive mental events, and then moon will start waning from that full moon to a new moon in Pisces in 6th house, 8th of or 9th of April. So these events always will bring new chapters, new lessons in your life. How you deal with it, that is the main thing. So we use astrology for that. A little bit of caution, little bit of going slow when the time is required. Go slow, because even your 5th house, your Purva Punya, though the Lagna Lord is there in the 5th house, but Saturn Mars is also there. So all these things, maybe your love life is affected, you want a loan, you want some service change, some gains is getting diminished. All these things may add up to a little bit problematic situation. Go slow, take care of your health, and slowly the energies will clear, but not very fast, because March is also a month we should take slow, and April also will not be very easy. So let's see what happens. Till then I'll discuss it in transits. Virgo, the Sun and Rahu conjunction is happening in your 7th house, and the lunar eclipse is happening on your Lagna. So whenever there is a Rahu Ketu transit on the Lagna and the 7th, it should be understood that it's a time for eclipses happening directly on the Lagna and the 7th house, these two other areas. So this is like maybe some ego problems with the partner can happen. Rahu and Sun both are not very much wanted planet with the 7th house. Some clashes in partnership can be seen. So at this point of time, you have to be a little cautious about, talk less, interact not that much as is required if you're going through such kind of a thing. If at all you're going through such dasha, antardasha, whatever it is. Because see, this eclipse that will happen on your Lagna on 24th of March, a lunar eclipse created by Ketu, will trigger some sudden events about you. So then you can feel quite restless within yourself, because Ketu is that kind of a planet. It creates confusion, restlessness, irritation, and moon is a very subtle and soft planet. It's quite difficult, this conjunction, and that's why the moon is eclipsed, getting badly affected your mental health. So Virgo moon or Virgo Lagna can feel this kind of a situation. And this can, you can directly put your emotions to your partner. That can also happen. Or your business partnership or whatever, and it gets affected, because Sun loses total control in the 7th house. Sun is not a wanted Sun at all. Wherever Saturn gets Digbala, Sun is just the opposite. It's a marketplace, and Sun's a false ego and all these things. The partner can also show that to you. So within the relationship, some bruises, unnecessary bruises, egocentric things, or in a business partnership also, tread with caution. Very important at this point of time, because eclipses are sensitive things that happen, but those events are created by Ketu, and also Rahu creates Maya on that. These things actually happen. So it is to be taken in a very calm way, because when Rahu Ketu axis is on the Lagna and 7th, it is a time which is this 18 months will give you eclipses either on the 1st house, on the 7th house, and both will affect you. That's why these events are very changing events of a person when Rahu Ketu axis comes on Lagna especially. So like that, take it as events which are coming from your past life, because Ketu is a karmic past life issue that brings triggers events that makes you change, react to it. And Sun Rahu being in the 7th house can trigger easily differences in the partnership area. So take it slow, take it with realistic idea, because that is very difficult when Rahu Ketu is on the 1st and 7th axis. Rahu also creates Maya, Ketu creates lot of confusion whenever it's Lagna is concerned. It is not a very easy time because see, your 12th Lord is Sun, 12th Lord with Rahu in the 7th. Some kind of trust issues can happen. These things can happen. So just be a little calm, assess the situation if things happen. Lunar eclipses usually takes like 15-20 days roughly, the energies to settle down. Then we come to solar eclipse in the next month of April. So a time to be a little, go slow time. Because here we have this conjunction also going on with in Aquarius, the Saturn, Mars and Venus. So this is also a huge conjunction that Mars is seeing, March month is seeing. So that's why little bit of go slow attitude is good for this month. Okay, now Leo, this is happening in your 2nd and 8th axis. 2nd house is having Ketu and 8th house is having Sun, the Lagna Lord, and in conjunction with Rahu. Now here, first and foremost, I must say, though Sun is a little weakly placed in the 8th house, but 8th house is such a house, sudden and uncanny, some advantage situation can happen, some fame can happen, which you were not expecting. Now this can give, because you are the Lagna Lord, which is going into the 8th house with Rahu, and Sun is such a planet, kingly. It's a king. It likes all these things. It likes this secretive, sudden, flaring of ego up. Don't give in to it. This is a Maya created by Rahu. Just stay put. Just let the time pass. You'll see the clarity of things. Maybe it's just for this transit, because then Sun will go into its exaltation. And 2nd house matters on the lunar eclipse of 24th March, in and around that time, can trigger you. Some household matters. Be careful with your speech. Be careful with what you say, what you advise. Your money, all these things can come under scrutiny. Some emotional disturbances regarding your speech, regarding other people, your family members, your money, these things can happen, which may straight away take you to Sun Rahu in the 8th house, because things happen with Ketu, it goes on to Rahu. That is how it thinks. Now Rahu is waiting here for the Sun to fall into its trap. As simple as that. Rahu is a bitter enemy of the Sun, and no way it can help the Sun. So if this is some good situation also happens regarding the 8th house, sudden money coming to you, sudden fame coming to you, inheritances, some tax related benefits, if at all, okay, it's good that you have achieved something better in this transit, but don't think that this is this is how it is. Or if somebody suddenly helps you with it, some things about the Sun Rahu conjunctions always, it is an illusion for the Sun, for the mind, for the soul. And you feel very directionless. You can feel suddenly, given to the trap of Rahu. Be very careful, because it is your Lagna Lord after all. It's eclipses, when it happens, the energies are very different, very turbulent. We have to just deal with it. And how to deal with it is staying in a very realistic manner. Because Ketu is a past life planet, Rahu is an illusionary planet. We run towards Rahu, but it's too much unnecessary to give in too much to the energy of Rahu. 8th house Rahu is very secretive also. And it can give sudden things, sudden gains also. But if you get that, stay well with it. Don't go too much overboard and boost your ego with it, because later things can go sour because it is you, the Lagna, going into the 8th house. And 8th house events are very, it is sudden events. You cannot envisage that immediately. So then Cancer ascendants having Sun Rahu conjunction in the 9th house and Ketu Moon in the 3rd house. Now here Sun Rahu is not at all a good condition in the 9th house. 9th house is a very higher dharma house. What has Rahu to do with dharma? And here Sun, which is a good planet, your second lord, is coming with Rahu. You can give into advices, or the Sun is not only the second lord, Sun is the soul. Sun is a ambition, the ego, good or bad, both. Now with Rahu, it's bad. So here 9th house is about advisors, higher thing. All these can come into a very, Rahu creates such a bad condition in the 9th house that people lose, even in higher thinking also. They think they are thinking high, but actually it's not the case. So many times I've seen that the trust is not there, the faith is not there. And Sun is the soul, it loses things over there. It is not benefiting in the 9th house. The father's health can get affected. See that? Very important, because 9th house is also the house of father. And understand that 8th house is housing Saturn, Mars and Venus. So it's a very tough combination in the 8th house. And so suppose you're going for traveling, you're enrolling for a new case, please see the documents checked and everything, because 3rd house is also house of these things, communication, documentation, advertising, all this. When the lunar eclipse happens in the 3rd house on 24th of March, some events can get triggered over there. And so this can happen. So be a little wary of the situation, what you are doing, what decisions, sudden decisions, because the mind is, the 3rd house mind is always very restless. 3rd house Ketu is there, moon is getting eclipsed on 24th March. The following events in the next 15 days, again a solar eclipse will happen in Pisces, the new moon solar eclipse. So that's why these events, they trigger incidents starting from the 3rd house to the 9th house. And your faith can be marred in it, your ego can be bruised in it, your health, your father's health, your higher idealistic things, which it can go for a toss. So understand, don't be careful while taking advice from people. That is also very important. If you're enrolling for a journey, study, long distance things, be very careful what you're going towards. If certain things appears very lucrative, check in very much, because Sun and Rahu, that kind of a combination, it can look very nice at times, but actually it is not the case. So these things can happen. Next, Gemini, the 4th and the 10th axis. Now Sun and Rahu in the 10th, it is a very name fame giving combination in the 10th house, and it's a dreamy house. Sudden name, sudden recognition, certain things can happen with Sun reaching them. It may happen, it can happen, and you can feel too much egoistic about it. Now here you can feel like that, but whether your 4th house is supporting it, because 4th house is your heart, the situation, how you feel, because 4th house is all about motherly care, your emotional things, the good house, your home. Ketu is there. Moon comes and when moon comes, Ketu, it eclipses the moon on 24th of March. So things can be a little irritating in the home front, and too much of boost can be there in the 10th house. You can get some, it can happen. If it is good, you can get sudden name fame, which you weren't expecting, but it's major in that way. If you have that some kind of a dasha like that. Again, in the flip side, it can happen. Though you get the name fame, you can get a bad name with that also. It comes along with Rahu Saturn conjunction. Whatever it is, and maybe the 4th house condition is not very good at this point of time. Some emotional things can happen, because lunar eclipse makes the event sudden happening. There's a sudden thing with the mind. As the lunar eclipse, the moon gets eclipsed, sudden emotional turbulences can set in for the 4th house. So that irritation can come on to here. because Ketu, the even starts, it comes on to Rahu. The axis is like that. From it begins with Ketu, ends with Rahu. Rahu is where we are going towards. So the thing is that it can be a sensitive time, it can be a giving time also. Whatever it is, don't fall under the maya of this Rahu Sun ego boost. It is a time to be a little cautious. Your ninth house is housing Saturn, Mars, Venus, which is a very terrific combination for the ninth house. So go slow. Don't go overboard. Don't be, because Jupiter in the 11th is in Bharani also. That is also very transformative. Your Lord of this thing, 10th house is in the 11th in Bharani. So things can change rapidly. So wait for a while. Think how the things is going. Think about the whole situation and then go with it. Don't jump into matters of the professional side. If you want to change or do some up and down about it, whatever it is, eclipses are not the time to act, because then mostly the decisions will be not the correct ones. That's the thing. Taurus, your 11th house is having the Sun Rahu conjunction. 10th house is having Saturn, Mars, Venus. So Lagna Lord is in the 10th. You are gearing up for some kind of, because Sun is your 4th Lord. And the 4th Lord is going into the 11th house. Some gains from the mother, gains from the house. Rahu is boosting the 11th house matters, because Rahu does good in the 11th house. But because it is the 5th and the 11th house axis, some setbacks in the 5th house can happen due to the eclipse. You know that 24th March, the eclipse that is happening in Virgo, your 5th house of Purva Punyam, Ketu is there, and the moon, the 3rd house lord, is coming into the eclipse. Under the eclipse of Ketu, certain events can get triggered in the 5th house. You can feel that your luck is not supporting you. You can feel some turbulence with your children, with your love matters, with your higher degrees. All these things can happen. Lunar eclipse is such an eclipse which triggers the mind, and the mind gets irritated when the eclipse is caused by Ketu. So be very careful regarding the decisions of the 5th house. Don't be too much, agitated with it. Ketu tries to does that with the moon, because the energy of the lunar eclipse, it stays for 1 day, but it's that moon stays near that Ketu for 2 days, 2.5 days, but the energy continues for 15-20 days or 1 month. Don't take any decision regarding the 5th house at that time, and don't jump into the fall of Sun Rahu, because this is also the investment axis, the name fame axis, the higher gains. So if you want to invest, if money is coming, suppose I'm telling, if Sun Rahu money is coming well, don't feel immediately have to invest something. No, don't do that. Luck may not be in your favor at this point of time. Stay calm, stay quiet for the month of March. Put more concentration on the 10th house. 10th housing is housing your Lagna Lord with Saturn, Mars. It will give better result to put the concentration there than in the 11th house. Because whenever Rahu is with Sun, with Moon, these are bitter enemies of Rahu, and it creates a Maya over there. It gives unnecessary ego, which ego is not going to last long. It can give, in the networking circle, you can, if at all, you come across people who can guide you in a wrong way. Rahuish people. Be careful about this whole situation. Otherwise, the time is not, no way it is bad. It's just a cautious time. You have to be cautious. Whenever there are eclipses, you have to be cautious. And for your case, it is the 5th and the 11th axis, the Purva Punya, the gains regarding it. Whatever, if it is good also, stay calm. Bad also, don't jump into conclusions. Don't take actions at this point of time, because March, April will be quite sensitive months to go with. You have to go slow. You have to do your karma well and just continue with the work. Don't come into easy results. It's not possible. Last, I'll come into Aries. Aries is having this Sun Rahu in the 12th house. So 5th Lord going in 12th, not very good conjunction with Rahu. Expenses can increase regarding children. Children can go for, suppose they want to go for foreign studies, expenses for that. Some problem in the 6th house when the eclipse will happen. Problem means some kind of, because see, moon and Ketu conjunction in the 6, 8, 12 is always difficult for the mind to go along with it. Take into your health also, mental well-being, very important. Ketu gives some irritation in the 6th house, and your 5th lord going into the 12th can bring some luck, which is, can give some, the luck is not supporting you, as simple as that at this point of time. 11th house is good, your Saturn, Mars and Venus in the 11th. So just wait for the things to happen, because see, sometimes it so happens 11th house is giving you good results, you want to invest it. 12th house, somebody asks you for money, somebody asks you for going into, a partnership or whatever, or suddenly you invest some money in some schemes, which is fraud, which is not, it is not it will not give you anything for that matter. And that's the reason you have to be cautious, because Jupiter, the 12th lord, is on the Lagna. And it is in Bharani, going through a big transformation. Bharani is that kind of a nakshatra. So it is a very important time to keep your status quo. If 11th house is giving you good results, stay with it. If not, some impediments are there, then also stay with it. Don't go for easy money, easy schemes. Don't believe people too much at this point of time. If you have problem with children, then also don't go rough over them. It will take time. Sun will come into exaltation. Things will be okay. Don't show bad ego. Don't damage your health. Don't damage your sleep pattern. All these things can happen with Rahu Sun. Bad ego, bad mouthing, showing the bad side of you, unnecessary investment, giving money to people, not getting it back. So 12th house matters, expenses, going into foreign places suddenly, these things are, as at this point of time, is not required. Eclipses are sensitive things that happen. So when the lunar eclipse is happening in the 6th area, if something triggers you regarding Roga and Shatru in the 6th house, you have to understand this is your prarabdha that's coming into play. And lunar eclipses, usually they stay for 20 days after the eclipse, from 24th March, I'm telling. So you stay put with it and let the time pass. You'll have a clear judgment. Let the sun come onto the Lagna. All these things, if you wait, you'll have a better idea, clearer idea of where you're going towards. Because that kind of an Sun Rahu conjunction in the 12th is not gearing up to give. Suppose you get a good result also in the initial, it will ultimately make you fall in a trap. So be very aware of it. So this was my analysis of the lunar eclipse and the Sun Rahu conjunction that is happening in Pisces. So Pisces Virgo area becomes very sensitive this whole month. And Aquarius is also housing 3 planets. So let's see what happens ahead, how the planets starts giving the results. For till then, I'll take goodbye from you. Om Namah Shivaya. Until next week, another new